Greetings, Jideh Shieldrum Records. Today we will talk about some useful routings into Ableton. So the way to do some original subgroup, the original way of doing subgroups, and a few tips about some effects, pre-EQ or things like that. But yeah, short, but let's go. Here I have a demo track. Okay, and what I will start to do, just the simplest way into Ableton. Imagine you want to do groups and you don't need to have some routing for dub mix or whatever. So you will just select everything, Control G, and it will be set into a group. Instead of having to mute 4 switch, I just mute 1. Okay, you get the idea, and we will call it drums GP, and we can do the same for the bass and the drive of the bass. Control G. Okay, let's say this is a normal way. So you get the idea. Now, Control Z. Now we will talk about making some groups as if we were in the real world with a desk. Okay, so generally, the first way we could say is that a group is like a aux return, simple, but this aux return will not go into some effects or whatever, just go to the main or the master. So let me remove most of the effect from that. And we will just emulate a subgroup in a desk. So in a desk, we will have several tracks for drums, even more than 4. And what we will do to have the whole drum set on a single fader before the master stage, we would send we will send everything at the same level, generally unity gain, to a bus. So on desk is like 2 faders, but this is exactly the same principle as for aux, which are on a knob. Okay, so everything is going to the return, and what I would have to do is to remove this signal going to the main. So I select all the track, and I will select sends only. So the sends only is used to have some kind of group we call drums here. Okay, that way all those stems go into the drum group and all the other tracks go directly to the main. And we can verify that they don't go to the main at all here. Okay, so sonically it's exactly the same result, but it's not practical to have, for example, the group of the drum in this area of the desk and all the track in this area. So a second way to group tracks, of course, here I just set the drum group, but you could set bass group, chord group, etc. So a better way, which is also better if you want to assign MIDI on your desk in Ableton, is simply to create as much as audio track as you need subgroup. So for me, I would need, in my case, 3 of them. Okay, we call them bus or subgroup. Okay, so let's call that one chords, drums, and bass. Okay. So those groups are going to the main. We can select them all and select no input on them. Okay, and you will see when I select no input, all the monitor section, which is here, will disappear for the input. Okay, no input. And from there, I will select. So I want my skunk to go into the chords track. Okay, so at the audio output into the monitor section, I will select chords. Okay, I want all of my drums to go into the drum. So at the audio 2, I will select drums. And of course, I want my 2 basses to go into the bus called bass. Okay. And from there, we look at that monitor section. We got off. So you will use off generally when you record and you have already a monitoring circuit from your sound card without latency. You got the auto, and the auto will play the audio track on it or what it has been recording, actually, if you are on record. So if you have direct monitoring on your sound card, it's useless. But if you don't have it, you will set it like this. And you got in. And in will take the signal of whatever we send in it. Okay? So you see me take the output of each track to send them into the bus track by selecting the audio 2. But we could also, if we need only one track into a sub-bus, we can select that track from the audio from, okay, by selecting that track. But when you want to have several tracks going into one subgroup track, my black track here, you will not select it from here. You will select it directly at the output. Okay, so the other way around, you can select only one source. In that way, you can select as many sources as you wish. Okay, and normally, no one is going to the master on those tracks. Okay, everyone going to a bus, and all the buses are going to the main or master. Let's play. Okay, so this is useful because imagine we want to change the balance of the drum. If we would have to move them physically on 4 faders to find back the exact balance we set into the drum set would be tedious. But when we have it on only 1 fader, it guarantees us the exact balance we've set when we push up the volume. Okay, and for the bass the same. And yes, and from there, now you can send effect from the group bus or send effect from the individual tracks. Generally, I will send each bus into a room verb. So the same way, instead of having X amount of track to select and send the room verb on it, we will have just the subgroup to select and send them to the room verb. Okay, and for the other effect, this is the same. So here I have one only piano, but I could have piano organ, etc., etc. So this is a good way to set things properly. So you could set them on your left or on your right. Okay. But that way, when you will assign, you have your group bus near the other tracks, okay? Because when you will assign in MIDI, you will see that as you don't have an infinite amount of controllers, you will have to select some of them. And it's more practical to have them here than here. Okay, so let's follow. Now, another thing we can do is to send the effect return to a tracks. It's also something doable. For example, if I want to bounce a complete project with the effect returns, I have two options. So I think this is okay. This Control Shift R to export. And when we export, we can export the main or all individual tracks or selected tracks only, okay? When you take all individual tracks, it will take every of the tracks and each of the aux return of the effects. But what I see, it's sometimes it's no practical because I want some of the effect returns, but I don't want the main, for example. And so it's just an example, but let's follow. So what I can do, it's to build some other audio track here. Okay, and call them effects. So it could be effects or any additional processing. And from there, I will set my effect 1 and send it to the monitor track called FX1 by here. So FX1, FX2, etc. So you get the idea. You select all those tracks and you set them to input. That way we have the return signal. Wow. So that way, let me switch it off. Yeah. I forget to do one thing before that. It was to set all of this as no input. Okay, that's why I was like 4 times in the volume. So from there's no input here, and each of these tracks are going into here. Okay. Now I can set them in without having my voice. And that way, same way, you have the volume here, output. So one of the use I have for it is for it to be more easy to export when I don't need the master of the aux track. I just want a selection of the aux track. So I will do this routing and select all my track and control major and bounce that. That way, by selecting selected track only. Okay. Another reason it could be great, it is that sometimes you will use some tricks on your effects here, some feedbacking sometime with the echo, and you want to securize, if we say like this, to make it safe for it to not overload. Okay. So for the moment we have this like that. Okay, let me set a bit of echo. Drop them down here. will change the speed. Okay, so as you see, the signal go through here. Let's now imagine. So I forgot to mention one thing. I can leave it like that. This is echo A. Okay, leave it like that. One thing I forgot to mention, if you don't want to re-inject each effect in others through this bus, you will select all the track, right click around send, and say disable all sends. Okay, it don't work when we group the track, so we have to do it one by one. That way, we know that if we want to do a feedback trick or whatever trick we want to do between the effects return, there's no possibility to re-inject by mistakes here. Okay, they are grayed out, they're useless. So from there, I will take just the piano, so mute all the rest. Okay, so imagine what I want to do is a dub delay. So to do a dub delay, I will reduce feedback to 0, no reverb. Let's keep it sharp. Here you can set what you want, full band, or on my side I do something like that. Okay, so first result is this. If I want some other repeat, I will, in the effect section, I will set them in blue also. In the effect section, we will activate the corresponding auxiliary. So Echo Melo A is on aux A, ou A en français. So A, and I enable send. So when I will write the send, we will have more repeat. Normally at this stage, if the send it is at unity gain and my fader has unity gain, we have an echo which will be stable, not rise, not fall. Okay, let's try again. Louder. Here the echo is slightly falling because we reduce the bandwidth. Okay, if I remove this filter, we will have no attenuation. Okay, let's try again with the switch on. As you can hear, no rise, no fall. Okay, so the filter will give you the opportunity to give some color to your echo. So if you want to be wise, not a lot is okay. You will reduce this frequency band if you send some kick or whatever in this echo, which have some sub-frequencies. Okay, so now we fix the first thing, but imagine we want to have this echo not on a one-to-one. When you send the echo and it stay infinite, when everything is at unity gain, we call it one-to-one, one in, one out. And but if we want it to rise, we will need more gain. So the first way we can do it is to raise the fader above the unity gain. So for example, I will set it to 0.1. just that. Remove the filter, and let's try with the level, of course. So as you see, it's slowly rise. So if we go, for example, just 0.5 and experiment the same, it rises faster, okay? If I put it at 1.5 dB above the unity gain, okay, so now the first reason why it is good to send the output of this in another track, it is that we can reduce the output of this bus track, we can call it. So let's reduce at -6. Okay, that way. That way, what happened? We overload here, but we don't overload at the end of the chain. Okay. We have to know that in Ableton, out of the sometime, if it sounds bad, you don't do it. But as long as it don't sound bad, no matter if you overload on written track or audio track, you will have no problem. There's a infinite headroom, quasi infinite headroom in this. The only place you don't want to overload will be your main. Okay, so this is the first thing, and so you see that if you want to have this rising echo like in dub, you don't need a lot of dB above the unity gain to do it. So what I like to do, as I know, I will assign this fader to my controller. What I prefer do is to select an utility. So let's go into audio effect or favorite. I set an utility before the echo, and I will add 1 dB and a half or 3 dB or whatever dB I want it. Okay, if you want to have the possibility to have some long echo but at lower volume, you will bring up the gain before the echo. Okay, which means if I add 6 dB at the input of the echo, the unity gain or balance, exact balance here will be at -6. Okay, so if I'm at -6 here, +6 equals 0. If I set it like that, I will have this infinite echo which not rise or fall. With the volume always. As I say, it's slightly falling because there's EQ into the echo. Can remove this EQ. Also in this, double check that noise is switched off and things like that, because all this will also feed back in. Okay, and it's better also to leave it normally as stereo. The ping pong mess when we want to feedback it. So okay, so where was I remove the filter? Okay, so 1-to-1 echo, infinite. But now we also know that as soon as we go above 6, -6 dB, it will feedback. Okay, so from there, um, better than moving this level, we can simply, if we want to really be secure, it's really not an obligation, but that way it gives some idea of how and why we should sometime post-process effects. So for example, I would set a limiter here on the bus which is reading the echo output. Okay, that way my feedback loop just goes through zero sample latency unit like utility. Okay, the echo is also zero samples latency unit. This is why my feedback is sounding very okay here. Okay. And then if you look at a limiter, for example, it has 2.9 millisecond latency. And this is enough. If you had put this limiter in series, in this chain, this is enough to make it sound like really metallic and digital utterance. So, but when we set it on another track, we can tell him that the ceiling of my echo will be minus 9 dB. I don't want it to cross minus 9, and I can play into my delay. And normally, I will let it crunch into the limiter before any saturation. And you choose the smallest look ahead. Okay, so let's go. Yes, as I'm with the mouse today, I will bring them here. It will be easier. Okay, this. Okay, that's great. So, so you see, that's pretty dope because even some digital sounding of a limiter, you see that it gives some texture to the echo feedbacking. I mean, this EQ inside the echo loop and the compressor limiter at the end. So yes, this can be great to do. Let's do another test. Okay, so it's also to tell you that even if we go in the red here, I will drop the master. Just observe that the echo is going into the red and sound quite good. So okay, this was not the purpose of the start of this tutorial, but you see what you're able to achieve. And then why not taking an audio track and record some of the resampling, or directly post FX1 to have some sound design things. So this is not it. It's main, and this is where I choose FX1. Okay. And that way I can record some sound design things.